What's up, guys and gals? It's time for Strike It Rich, Chapter 46, the latest chapter review. Hopefully, by the time this one comes out, 47 hasn't quite dropped yet. And so, Chapter 46, honestly, I preferred Chapter 45. I know I'm recording these ones back-to-back because I'm very late with the reviews, but I will say 45 had a lot more intrigue for me. 46 is the end of the fight, the end of the big fight. But though I thought the art was sublime, and I thought that the choreography, once again, is just so much better here. Once again, we cannot be blaming Daro all the time. He's got like a wrist brace and stuff. He's lost a lot of passion. He's a lot older, and there's not enough to do the comparison anymore. However, you do gotta love to see a fighting manga with a lot of passion behind the line work, a lot of passion behind the angles, the different perspectives, and we're seeing a lot of that here in this chapter specifically, and in a lot of the chapters. We have all these dark overtones, the brutality of these fights. But there is one thing that I really didn't like, and it's a minor thing, really, because it doesn't really matter in the end, but I just didn't like it. It's very anime trope-ish, and it's been done before. I'm not going to give any examples and waste your guys' time, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So when she does Army Breaker Dawn, where it looks like she basically dislocates her bones, right? That's how they're going to showcase it. But what it means is that she completely relaxes her joints, stretching her arms to their limit. She stretches her joints out from her shoulder, her elbow, and her wrist. She stretches her joints out, which is probably quite dangerous to do, in reality, if you're able to pull this off. And she makes them as extended as humanly possible so she can use them like a whip. And she can have even greater, faster and greater power. This is Army Breaker Dawn, her ultimate technique from last chapter. The technique where she's like, I'm going to go, this is my mastery of it, blah, blah, blah. And in the span of one chapter, after this is working, Hina's taking damage. She's blocking some of it. She's not blocking all of it, and she's taking a lot of damage. We have Rule 34 Hanafusu here explaining it and just saying all the stuff about it. It's like, oh, all right, a straightforward trick, but it's not straightforward to deal with. She's increased her range by simply relaxing her joints to their limit, creating a much greater force. How is Hina going to adapt? We get all this stuff, and she's like, I can kill Hina. I can become Hina. I'm a fucking mad-ass bitch, and I need no man. She's just going at it. And then all of a sudden, once Hina is able to adapt to this, right, which is really cool because Kurushi, this is an onslaught, this is a barrage, and everyone's like amazed by, some people are yelling to stop the match, holy shit, like this is dangerous, and this is just a complete bloodlusty onslaught, it's insane. And her response, can you beat my bloodlust, is to immediately smack her in her actual joint area to do the most amount of damage, to break it, where her wrists are so relaxed. Smacking it there while it's relaxed and extended will shatter it completely, is the idea. Kurushi is the one who immediately notices and goes, ho ho ho, you naughty girl. You intentionally struck that with pinpoint accuracy. I can see what you're doing. And this is the man who can do that shit, right? So he's like, alright. I see what you're doing there, right? So this is immediately followed up by her continuing to try to hit, but then she breaks one of her arms, Ray's arm. She actually breaks the arm with an elbow block, because that's what she managed to do to defend, counter, and block it, an elbow guard, right? So this doesn't stop Ree from continuing her assault, but Ree continues until she gets completely one-shot kaboom in the stomach, right in the stomach, and she's bleeding, from her mouth profusely and stuff. This is a heavy hit from a serious Hina, from what we understand. She saw the trajectory coming. She was able to bypass the moves and get a clean strike in on her abdomen. So this is where she does the thing that I'm talking about, that I don't like. So she just unlocked. It was Army Breaker for all days, and she was so afraid, like, oh, you can stop my Army Breaker, but how? I've perfected it. I've killed 28 people, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, fine. It's full-on 100% power. I'm Frieza now. I was only using 1% of my... Now I'm using 100%. This is my final form, Army Breaker Dawn. When she starts to lose again, she stretches her joints even further and says, it's now Supreme Dawn. See, it would work okay if this was her next fight 20 chapters from now. Or it would be less egregious, right? So I'm okay with the Kengan magic, right? Of stretching your joints and using them like a whip. You use a human whip. Fine. We saw Bando do that. But the fact is that her whole thing was, I'm going to unlock fine. I'm going to use my strongest form, my best power, was the implication at literally the end of the last chapter. We've gone 15 pages, and now all of a sudden, oh no, I underestimated you again. Within 15 pages, within half a goddamn chapter, we've underestimated you. So we went from, okay, actually, that wasn't my true form. This is my ultimate technique and my ultimate form. In fact, no, it wasn't, because 10 pages later, I have an actually even better ultimate super chocolatey covered form. The Supreme Army Breaker Dawn. Rakota style. And I'm just like, okay, too early for this shit. Considering that she already loses anyways, and this does nothing, it literally does nothing, this should have been something for Rey's character development going forward that she tries to use. Maybe it fails later, maybe it doesn't, but this should have been saved because now she showed off she's the master of Army Breaker. Aha, but I have a better form of Army Breaker. In fact, I have an even better form. It's the super D-duper form of Army Breaker. And it's like, it's done in way too short a span. Bad anime trope. It happens in other anime. Great anime and stuff. Great mangas. But it's too soon, so I didn't like this. I didn't like this at all, considering the fact that she's like, alright, I was using only Army Breaker, then I was only using Army Breaker Dawn, now it's Supreme Dawn, and then boom, she does one strike, it hits Hina away, she got even faster, Hina's not even phased, she takes the hit, sets up, it didn't apparently even land right, we know that Hina is just ready to fucking go. Now, this eye panel is something I do want to talk about. The eye panel right below, no, that hit didn't land right. So Hina, even with the Supreme Dawn thing, realistically didn't do anything. It knocked her back, but she managed to block it in some way, shape, or form because it didn't land right. We're told this. We see the eyes of someone looking on with stars in their pupils. At first, I thought this was just Hina, like thinking, okay, it's time to go all out. I'm thinking this is the teacher somewhere in the crowd watching this happen. 100% now I'm convinced that this is actually the teacher. The teacher is here looking down and watching this fight. So, but that being said, so that's very interesting. So this is where Hina decides to, we can assume, go all out in this regard. She locks up and boom, one hit, keeps shining brighter. Take everyone's life, take my life. Rey knows at this point, I guess she's given up. She knows that when they clash, she's going to lose out. And boom, she takes the hit, and that's it. So Supreme Dawn did nothing. It didn't even land correctly. It wasn't even a solid hit. It blew her back. The Dawn version did more damage to Hina. And then she went, alright, fine, I'm going to get serious. Boom, one hit, done like dinner. So I'm just like, what a waste of showcasing the next level, the next form of Rey's fighting style. Unless we're going to cut her out of the story, what's next is my question. What's next? She's going to have Rakoto, Army Breaker, Supreme Dawn, triple style, or like Supreme Duper Dawn, or chocolately covered Supreme Dawn. Like, you know what I mean? You've wasted that potential for Rey's growth. You know, it's not just about the name, it's about the fact that now this is the limit of her Army Breaker style. She's either got to learn a new style, learn other forms of Rakota, or she can't really move forward. She can't improve as a fighter. So she's now stagnated as a fighter, and that's my problem. You've already cut the legs out from this character. Once again, not my type of character anyways. Don't give a shit if I ever see her again in the story. But where she's one of the Star Children, she's obviously knows Hina, she's part of the plot. cutting her legs out from under her in her first major fight and appearance, not a good look, in my opinion. And this is what happens in most of the time. This happens in shonen that run for over a couple hundred chapters, and characters that were a threat in the early stages tend to start falling off. This happens in a lot of shonen series. It happens in Naruto. It happens in Dragon Ball. It happens in Sailor Moon. It happens in Bleach. It happens in a lot of these great series. But unfortunately here, it's done even before the 50 chapter mark. And I don't understand why, you know? Because what's going to be her room for growth? Not saying she can't grow. Maybe there's an idea going forward. But yeah, I really think that was a mistake to introduce that. They could have just went with just her keep doing the onslaught of Dawn. It wasn't enough. And then she gets one last... You could have done the exact same attack with the Supreme Dawn. And everything go the same, just without the page of "This is my Supreme Dawn." If you take that page out, the fight doesn't change. The moves don't change. The choreography doesn't change. It introduced, like, what was the purpose? Because nothing changed, right? So if you're adding a power-up in that never goes anywhere, it's not why add the power-up to begin with, right? So this is where it's like, who can the hell can beat Hina? Hina's so dangerous, she's so deadly, and she walks off with this very darkened, silhouetted aura at the last page. So once again, while the fight was good, while the choreography was great, while the art was fantastic, while the chapters leading up to this and everything was great, that was a mistake if anybody cares about Ri as a character. Because for her to get stronger, now we need an ass pull. Because she had 2 power-ups in 2 chapters, and it did fuck all to make a difference. And with no potential for real growth showcased. So, yeah, that's my takeaway on that one. So that's why 46 is not the best chapter for me. Outside of that, fine, but from a character and a fighter and development standpoint, not so great. At least from my perspective. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And definitely check out all my other videos, One Piece, Kengan, etc., when I actually find time to do those as well. So, sorry how these are always late all the time. I'm just one busy old guy. So, and I don't monetize, so unfortunately I have a day job, you know. So, yeah. Is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. Plug, plug, plug. We'll see you guys back here next time. Have a good one. We'll see you back here for chapter 47 of Star Strike It Rich. Looking forward to it, and hope you guys are too. See ya.